It's Doom time! Doom o'clock! Doom-ageddon! Doom is coming for the MCU. And with a name like Dr. Doom, you kind of know where his allegiances are going to lie. But with the upcoming Secret Wars and the wrap-up to the Multiverse Saga already imminent, what if Dr. Doom is in fact the hero of this saga?
No.
What happens if Doom is the one who ultimately saves the day and beats Kang in the Kang Dynasty? How would that fallout affect Secret Wars? Well, I'm discussing that right now. With Phase 4 coming to an end, we've begun our slow march to the Kang Dynasty, and if I'm going to be talking about how Dr. Doom is going to be the ultimate hero of the Multiverse Saga, before becoming its ultimate villain, then I need to discuss what the MCU needs to do in order to get to that point. First things first, we need a Dr. Doom.
The question for you is, are you with me or against me?
Doom hasn't been introduced yet, and at the time of this video, Black Panther Wakanda Forever hasn't hit theaters. But there's something really interesting, I think, about the placement of this film. It was announced that Black Panther Wakanda Forever would be the end of Phase 4, but the big question is, why? Ant-Man Quantumania is the next film after Wakanda Forever, and doesn't that seem like a more logical endpoint for the phase with its full introduction of Kang the Conqueror? If Kang is really going to be the next big bad threat, you would think introducing him to end of phase makes a bit more sense than at the beginning. Hey, I can see it both ways, but that's just what I think. But I also think there's a specific reason for ending the phase with Wakanda Forever, and it's not just because I think the film looks incredible and ends the phase on a spectacular high note. It's because I think Doom will be introduced during it. I really don't believe Doom and Latveria should play a part in the overall struggle between Wakanda and Atlantis, though. I think that takes away from the central struggle with the distracting future bad guy. I mean, there's already so much going on with establishing the new Black Panther and fleshing out Namor, so there's not really a spot for Doom. I really don't want the movie to be like Doom was secretly pulling the strings behind everything either. I think again that cheapens the central conflict. But I think Doom and Latveria could be introduced in Wakanda Forever, and it's where the seeds are planted that lead to Doom rising to power thanks to what we learn about him. So let's theorize about the future for a bit as we discuss Doom's introduction and overall role in the MCU. Here's my long-term core desire for the MCU's Doom. I want him to be a dark reflection of Iron Man. Sure, I want him to be evil and sinister and power hungry, but I also want him to be focused on the next big one. After the Avengers, Iron Man turned paranoid about future threats and spent a lot of time fretting about the looming shadow of Thanos. It led to things like Ultron, which wasn't so great, but I'm sure a lot of the stuff he built to prepare came in handy.
Okay, pal, we're gonna get you out of town.
I want Doom to have that same sort of feeling. Here's my MCU tweak regarding his backstory. So I want to say the reason we haven't seen Doom yet in the MCU is because he wasn't the leader of Latveria. He spent a lot of his life bitterly believing that he should be on the throne, but never had the opportunity to truly rise up and take control. But Infinity War and the Snap changed all that. When half the universe was turned to dust, maybe that was the catalyst Doom needed in order to raise up his remaining forces and forcibly seize power. Maybe the old leader turned dusty and left a big vacant seat. So Doom had 5 years to build out Latveria in his image, and when everyone came back, I'm sure that Doom very nicely let the old leader live, right? Probably not. But I like the idea of what that does to Doom's mindset. Now he's a bit paranoid about the next big threat to Earth. Not because he cares about saving the lives of innocent people, but because he's afraid of losing the power he's fought so hard to get. And this leads Doom to start creating and inventing dangerous weaponry and slowly edging his way into world affairs so that he can begin his world domination plans so that when the next big thing comes, Doom can be ready. This side storyline can play out in Captain America, New World Order, and the Thunderbolts. I mean, yeah, we know the leader is going to be the big bad of New World Order, but I really think that film should further explore the ramifications of the Thanos snap, as well as what happened when everyone came back 5 years later. They started to explore it in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, so having New World Order continue that thread by showing how maybe certain countries that were weak before, like Latveria, have now positioned themselves into positions of extreme global dominance would be fun. And then the Thunderbolts could even be about some mission where the Thunderbolts have to go into Latveria for some reason. Not sure what else they would do. I guess they could fight multiverse versions of evil heroes since it's the end of Phase 5, but I like tying their story into Doom's rise to power. So by having Doom fully established in the MCU as this global threat, that's when you have your Fantastic Four movie. Obviously, the big problem with all the previous Fantastic Four films was how they tried to tie in the Fantastic Four's origins with Doom's origins, and it never worked out well. Seriously, they messed things up twice. What are the chances of that? But establishing Doom in the MCU beforehand allows the Fantastic Four to fully take center stage in their movie without worrying about how to cram Doom into the story. And I sort of like the idea of this really villainous threat rising up and slowly spreading his dark influence everywhere, and just when it looks like there isn't a group to stop him, boom, that's when we meet the Fantastic Four. I'm not quite sure yet how to tie in the Fantastic Four's movie with Doom's current journey. I know in the comics and in the previous films they have Doom and Reed as old school chums turned mortal enemies, but honestly, let's forget that entirely. How about these two come into conflict due to the Negative Zone? The Negative Zone obviously plays a big part in the Fantastic Four's history, and maybe both sides could be on the quest for antimatter. Maybe Doom wants it to build the most advanced weaponry in the universe, and Reed and his family are the only ones capable of getting it or stopping Doom from getting it. Or, I got a better idea. So take what I just explained about Doom, right? How he actually, in his own power-hungry way, is trying to prepare and stop the next big attack on Earth, right? Well, what could he actually do to prevent this? Sure, he could build himself a whole army of robots or invent a machine that causes you to throw up your insides or something equally sinister, but what could he actively do in order to stop Kang for good? Well, how about trying to stop Kang from ever being born? Yeah, dealing with Kang means dealing with a lot of different variants, and most likely Kang comes from a different Earth other than our own. But what if it's revealed that the biggest Kang baddie that we meet is actually a descendant from Earth 616's Reed Richards? Yeah, that gets a little timey-wimey and probably requires an overly complicated retcon or explanation, but if you squint, it could possibly work. And what if Doom finds out about this and sets out to destroy any relative or descendant of Kang in order to stop the threat before it happens? That means he would want to eliminate Reed Richards, and that's what locks the Fantastic Four and Dr. Doom into a bitter rivalry. And how crazy would it be if right when Doom and the Fantastic Four's main fight comes to a head, right when it seems like they couldn't hate each other more, that's when Kang comes knocking, setting up the Kang Dynasty and a chance for Doom to become the hero.
You're welcome.
So now let's talk about how the Kang Dynasty could play out, and it's important to understand the context from a comic perspective. Not that the MCU has ever really bothered to follow the comics for their big event films, but they at least provide a good foundation. Anyways, the Kang Dynasty is a comic arc that sees Kang the Conqueror arrive on Earth with his son Marcus in order to do what he does best and starts conquering. He basically starts showing Earth all these dark futures that potentially awaits it and insists that he needs to conquer Earth in order to save it. Yeah, he's that kind of bad guy. He then does a tremendously smart thing. He doesn't just arrive with his own army. No, he makes a worldwide announcement that any group that conquers in his name will be gifted some territory, as well as a place in his new world order. This causes a bunch of villainous foes and groups to rise up and split all of our heroes' time, which makes it easier for Kang and his future army to stroll through and basically take the keys to Earth. At the time, most of the main Avengers are stranded in space, which leaves Earth no choice but to surrender to Kang. Bummer. This storyline of a conquered Earth actually goes on for quite a bit, which is pretty surprising. One thing I have to mention is that in this storyline, a giant holographic version of Kang the Conqueror fights a giant holographic version of Captain America in space. If we don't get some version of that, then what are we even doing, people? Anyways, if the MCU sort of follows this whole Kang situation and his slow conquering of Earth would lead to some major ramifications, and it's a great opportunity for Doom to rise up and join the overall resistance.
Welcome, Thunderer.
As awesome as Jonathan Majors is going to be and how absolutely jacked he looks, he's not going to win in the end. Sure, he may win for a short amount of time, but the good guys will retake the planet. But the most interesting thing is how as soon as they announced the Kang Dynasty, they revealed that Avengers Secret Wars will take place just a few months later. Now, if that means what everyone thinks that means, then Doctor Doom will be the big bad of Secret Wars. So there's a few ways this next section can unfold. Kang could either take the place of the Beyonder in the comic books, or the Avengers can go to the Beyonder in order to stop Kang in the MCU. I personally don't know which one I like more because they both have pros and cons. Let's discuss both. So if Kang takes the place of the Beyonder and comes to Earth with this power to rewrite reality, it would not only be dangerous, but also give us a chance for a true Battle World adaptation. Instead of the Beyonder being the one pulling the strings and putting heroes and villains against each other on Battle World for fun, it could be Kang who somehow gains this ability after all of his conquering, and then sets that plan in motion during and after the Kang Dynasty. Imagine a situation where Avengers the Kang Dynasty is the massive Avengers film we all expect with all of our heroes, but then when Kang fully takes over by the end of the movie, he transports a select group of characters to Battle World as both punishment and amusement. Then one of the movies leading up to Secret Wars could be a smaller scale film that features some of our core characters and fan favorites fighting it out in this new reality. So then when Battle World is concluded, Doom is the one who comes out on top and ultimately saves the day. He could stop Kang once and for all, but by doing so, he basically steals Kang's powers and then rewrites reality in his own Doom-esque image, setting up Secret Wars. The problem with this would be, one, it makes Kang into this reality warping entity who can set up his own battle world, which isn't necessarily what he normally does in the comics, and two, we don't really want to have back-to-back stories where Kang rewrites reality in Kang Dynasty and then Doom does it again in Secret Wars. So the other way I mentioned is having our heroes and Doom travel the multiverse in order to find a solution to their Kang problem. This could result in them finding more powerful multiversal entities like the Beyonder and Molecule Man. But instead of saving the day by brokering a deal, Doom eliminates the Beyonder and steals his power. He then uses it to vanquish Kang, but then, like before, that sets up Doom's Secret Wars. My problem with that is having the Beyonder's abilities be the answer to stopping Kang feels like it takes our Avengers out of the equation, but maybe there's an interesting fallout from this. It would be fascinating to see our heroes forced to compromise a bit and trust Doom, only for Doom to turn around and betray them. And I just sort of want to see a pure villain work with our heroes. Not an anti-hero bad guy who's secretly a good guy, but a true full-on villain whose goals align with our heroes. So overall, the path to get there may be a little messy, but what this does is set Doom up to be the ultimate MCU hero by being the one to end Kang, but in doing so unleashes his full might as the Multiverse Saga's true big bad afterwards. And I just want to end this by briefly discussing what that would mean going forward. What does the plot of Secret Wars look like if Doom was the big hero first and then the villain? Sure, I say big hero, but of course taking down Kang and presumably his variants and his allies will take the collective force of all the heroes across the multiverse. I'm just saying Doom would be the one to ultimately eliminate Kang for good. And this brings me back to my original idea of making Kang the darker, twisted version of Iron Man. In Endgame, Tony had all the power of the universe in the palm of his hand and sacrificed himself for the greater good. He ended the threat and then got to rest. Well, if we're following the trajectory of an Iron Man-esque path, then Doom would be in the same situation. He would have the power of the universe in the palm of his hand, eliminate the bad guy, but only while making himself stronger in the process. By being in the same situation and choosing to better himself rather than the world around him, it would be a nice bit of symmetry and basically set up Dr. Doom as the ultimate evil version of Iron Man. I think that would be awesome and give Secret Wars more heft. Of course, Doom won't reign as king forever. The end of Secret Wars would see our final group of heroes band together and save reality from this devastating new timeline. Yeah, I'm sure we'll lose some of our heroes along the way, presumably the ones who are dealing with the two biggest villains of them all, old age and Marvel contracts, but in the end, everything will be returned to normal, so that Phase 7 can presumably start. I don't necessarily see Doom surviving past Phase 7, but who knows? Anything is possible in the MCU. But overall, this is why Doom needs to be fleshed out early. He has the potential to be both the greatest hero the MCU has ever seen, as well as its greatest villain. It just depends on how the MCU decides to present his character. I'm not saying my way is the absolute best, because yeah, there are certainly holes and flaws in my reasoning, but by making Doom's journey and character similar to Iron Man, I think is the best thing going forward. But let me know your thoughts about that in the comments below. What other villains do you think could step up and assist in the fight against Kang? I think it would be great to see heroes and villains fighting together against a common enemy, but what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching CBR.